In this story, the person buried under the tree dies because every department is trying to shift its responsibility to the other department. The purpose of this story is also to tell how the common people have to suffer mental and physical pain due to the inefficiency and carelessness of the government departments. The summary of the story is as follows. Due to a strong storm at night, the jamun tree fell on the lawn of the secretariat. When the gardener saw a man buried under that tree in the morning, he ran to the peon to inform him about this. The peon told the clerk, and the clerk said the superintendent, and in this way, a crowd gathered near the tree. The crowd standing near the jamun tree does not sympathize with the person buried under it. On the contrary, they express grief by remembering the jamuns on that tree. The first clerk called the jamun tree fruitful, while the other praised its juicy jamuns. The third clerk had no sympathy for the buried person. He remembered the juicy jamun fruits that he used to take to his children in bags during the season. To remove the person buried under the jamun tree, the gardener suggested removing the tree. But on this suggestion, the lazy, slacker, and fat peon said that the tree trunk is very thick and heavy. That tree was under the agriculture department, but the agriculture department sent the matter of the jamun tree to the horticulture department because it was a fruit-bearing tree. The secretary of the horticulture department said that his department is running a tree plantation scheme at a high level and permission to cut this fruit bearing jamun tree can never be given by his department. The gardener had sympathy for the man buried under the jamun tree. The gardener used to feed the buried man and give him information about the progress of his file. In such a situation, a shairi, poetry, came out of the buried man's mouth, and the gardener was surprised to hear it. As soon as the rumor spreads in the secretariat that the person buried under the tree is a poet, a crowd of people rush to see the poet. As soon as the news of the buried man being a poet reaches the city, poets from every street start gathering in the secretariat. The lawn of the secretariat is filled with poets of various kinds, and due to this, an atmosphere like that of a Kavi Sammelan is created in front of the poet. When it is known that the person buried under the tree is a poet and his file reaches the Sahitya Akademi, then the secretary reaches the secretariat to interview the person buried under the tree. When it was discovered that the man buried under the tree was a poet, the subcommittee of the secretariat decided that since the man buried under the tree was a poet, this file was not related to the agricultural department, nor the horticulture department, but only to the cultural department. According to the secretary, since his department was related to culture, he could not cut the tree. The cultural department had sent the poet's file to the forest department for further action. When the people of the forest department reached there with saws and axes, they were stopped from cutting the tree. It was learned that an order had come from the foreign department not to cut the tree, the reason being that this tree was planted 10 years ago by the Prime Minister of the state of Petunia. Now if this tree was cut, our country's relations with the Petunia government could have been ruined forever. The foreign department finally reaches the Prime Minister with the file. The Prime Minister, taking all the international responsibility on his head, was permitted to cut the tree. Thus, the files go through many departments and are finally approved by the Prime Minister. At the end of the story, the person buried under the tree dies. This story tells how justice becomes insignificant due to delay. In the story, the officials of the government department, instead of removing the jamun tree and saving the person, were busy making files and sending those files to different departments, and finally by the time the decision came, it was too late and the person had died.
Dear students, if you found this explanation helpful, please share this video with your friends so they can also benefit from it. I've included links to summaries of other lessons in the description. Be sure to check those out as well. For more lesson explanations, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.